Sorcerers are the next class to get their subclasses ranked, and we have 3 different subclasses: Wild Magic, Draconic Bloodline, and Storm Sorcery. The way I'm going to compare them to each other is to compare the differences between the subclasses. So you choose your subclass at level 1, then there are features gained at level 6 and level 11, and I will also be taking multiclassing into account. This is of course my own biased and casual opinion, and you let me know if you think there should be any differences as you watch the video. So starting in 3rd place, we have the Wild Magic Sorcerer. So 5 out of 10 at level 1, 4 out of 10 for level 6, 10 out of 10 for level 11, and just a 4 out of 10 for multi-classing potential. We're going to have Gale here to model for us for each of the Sorcerer subclasses. Unfortunately, I didn't have a Dragonborn Dark Urge ready to show you, so Gale has stepped in for us. Overall, for the Wild Magic subclass, I'm very kind of ambivalent about it. I don't mind it if it happens, but I don't generally go out of my way to try and have this randomness. And especially in honor mode, you kind of want things to be reliable. You want to know what's going to happen, and this throws that out the window. But what do we get? We get 2 things at level 1. 1, Tides of Chaos. This is probably the better thing here. You can use this once per short rest and long rest, and you can activate it to gain advantage on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. This can come up in dialogue as well, and it increases the chance of a Wild Magic Surge afterwards, which is the other thing we get at level 1. This is where the randomness comes from. And what are these Wild Magic effects? There are quite a few of them. If you look here, some of them are beneficial, some of them are harmful, and some could go either way. And this is why it's random. If I could pick and choose, I think it would be too powerful, to be fair. You know, getting an action surge, that could be brilliant. You get an extra action, you can cast another spell. You can fly, you get shield. Cool. But also you could be transformed in, it says a beast, it'll be a sheep, be polymorphed. You can be slowed. You can find yourself in the middle of a spike growth, entangle. You can summon a Cambion or sometimes a Mephit. You know, it can go either way. Which is why I've kind of just put it right in the middle, 5 out of 10. If you really like randomness and you think it's going to add fun to your playthrough, I could imagine you put this much higher. If you really hate the randomness, I could imagine you're going to put it right at the bottom. But like I said, I'm kind of ambivalent about it. I'm going to put it in the middle, and it's nice to get this extra Tides of Chaos feature. Then at level 6, you can bend luck. Give a target a 1d4 bonus or penalty to attack rolls, saving throws, or ability checks. And you can use this in combat when enemies hit you. You can also use this during conversations and skill checks. That all sounds good. What I don't like is that it costs 2 sorcery points. And even at level 12, you only have 12 sorcery points to begin with. I understand through the use of potions you can get a very high amount of sorcery points by sacrificing spell slots. There are ways to get infinite sorcery points, so if you're doing that, I suppose you can put this at 10 out of 10. However, personally, I don't like doing that. I generally don't find it. There was a commenter the other day who used the word organic. I don't find this an organic way of playing, kind of a normal way of playing, and it's just not for me. So I'm not taking that into account, the fact we can get loads of sorcery points, therefore spell slots. If this was cheaper, I'd rate this higher, but because it is 2 sorcery points, I find myself really not using this very often. Okay, I accidentally went past the level up screen, but at level 11, you get Controlled Chaos. Induce a Wild Magic Surge on a nearby caster when they cast a spell. I've given this a 10 out of 10 because I feel like if you're going in for Wild Magic Sorcerer and you're okay using it and you've made it to level 11, this is so cool. I think it deserves some points for really going in all in on Wild Magic. And you know what, I'm going to go show you this in combat. So there I can add a 1d4 bonus to this character's attack roll. This is the level 6 feature. 2 sorcery points, I'm not going to do it. So here it comes. The enemy has cast Ensnaring Strike, which is a spell. And I can cast Controlled Chaos on them. This is a reaction though, so I can only do this once per round. And now they're inside a Resilient Sphere. Awesome. That means they basically can't do anything. Which again, it's cool if you... This is your thing, but I could easily have given them shield. I could easily have given them some sort of benefit instead. Here, why not? Let's use the Tides of Chaos. Oh, failed anyway. I think maybe I want to make a Wild Magic Sorcerer with the Rapier Duelist Prerogative that gives them 2 reactions per turn. Maybe I can make that happen. A Drow Sorcerer, that would work, wouldn't it? Right, and for multi-classing potential, I just don't see how a Wild Magic Sorcerer is really going to be better than the other 2 classes. Sorcerers make great multi-classes in general, I've got no problem with that. But when we come to look at the other two subclasses, we'll see that this just doesn't compare. Then in second place, I've got Storm Sorcerer. Not too far behind the Draconic Bloodline, but I'll tell you later why the Draconic Bloodline, in my opinion, in my eyes, is just that slightly bit better. So scoring fairly highly all round. So level 1 is 8 out of 10, the level 6 features 9 out of 10, 7 out of 10 for the level 11 feature, and the multiclassing potential are 9 out of 10. And we're going to have Gale here once again modelling for us. So what do we get at level 1? After you cast, it's called Tempestuous Magic. After you cast a level 1 spell or higher, you can fly as a bonus action until the end of your turn without receiving opportunity attacks. That's cool. I won't always use it though, but it is cool to have. If you multiclass this with another caster, then they can also fly around. And it can be useful, it can be good. It doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. That can get you out of trouble, maybe even into trouble if you want to. However, this is kind of the only thing Storm Sorcerers get. Alright, I'll get rid of True Strike here. I don't know why the game defaults to True Strike. It's truly crap. Then at level 6, we get Heart of the Storm. When you cast a spell of level 1 or higher that deals lightning or thunder damage, you cause a small local storm. All enemies within 20 feet take 3 lightning or 3 thunder damage, up to you. The damage depends on the spell that's cast. Damage is calculated by a sorcerer level divided by 2. And I can show you later that with Marka Heshkir equipped, which he has, and with Kreska's lightning, we can actually add your proficiency bonus to the lightning damage there, which is kind of cool. And you just innately become resistant to lightning and thunder damage. This is nice. I will say though that there aren't very many enemies that actually cause thunder damage. I'm kind of struggling to think of many enemies that do this. The other sad thing is that with Heart of the Storm, there are actually very few spells past character level 6 that deal lightning or thunder damage. And at the lower levels, we've only got, off the top of my head, Chromatic Orb, Thunder Wave, Shatter, and I'm not sure that any other spells that even cause thunder damage. But lightning damage, that's going to save us. Even past the level 3 spells, past Lightning Bolt, the next lightning damage spell is Chain Lightning. This is kind of a bit disappointing. We don't have more spells that do lightning and thunder damage, which is why I haven't given this maybe a 10 out of 10. And also why its resistance doesn't contribute towards a 10 out of 10 either. The other thing we get, which has kept the rating quite high, is we actually get access to some spells. These spells are set, we can't change these, but it's really nice because normally we don't get access to Cool Lightning or Create or Destroy Water. If you know you're going to be a Storm Sorcerer, avoid picking these when you're leveling up, or if you do, replace them, because otherwise it's a wasted spell. No. What I do wish is that cold damage should be included in all of the Storm Sorcerer's abilities. Maybe that's too many types of damage perhaps, but this is up to the level 5 spells. I haven't picked Ice Storm yet, but we could at least then pick Ice Storm and have another cantrip that deals a damage that would affect abilities, but hey, that's just my wish. At level 11, we finally get access to Chain Lightning, and as a subclass feature, when you're hit by a melee attack, you deal 11 lightning damage to the attacker and potentially push them away. That damage is determined by your sorcerer level, and I did notice once while testing that when I was prone, this didn't actually kick in. But this is kind of all we get at level 11. It's not like too bad, but by the end of the game, the damage done isn't that high, and preferably we wouldn't be hit anyway. But we can't avoid all damage, okay? So it is good to have. It can push enemies back. It's rarely going to make them run out of movement speed though, sadly. Okay, so I'm going to try and show you the knockback. So we can knock them back, which is cool. To show the next thing. Actually, I didn't need to do that. I could just use Shatter. But I'll use Lightning Bolt instead. Very interestingly, the game actually calculates the Heart of the Storm damage before the final damage. I'm not sure why that is. So we can see that with Area of Effects, we can get multiple instances of the Heart of the Storm damage. And because I've got Marka Heshkir and I'm crackling with Kreska's lightning, get to add my proficiency to that. So you can actually do it's okay. It's just, you know, it's kind of your normal lightning damage plus 10. And now I've got lightning charges. I do believe if I do that again, it will add another 1 to that lightning damage. If I let Gale take another turn, this time I will use Cool Lightning. There we are. It did 11 damage this time because I've got lightning charges. So yeah, I like the level 6 ability. It's actually very good. Don't forget that creating water will double the damage you do with your lightning spells. And so that goes very well with the Storm Sorcerer. And then it comes to multi-classing. I've already mentioned multi-classing with regards to the flying. and that you can put this with any other spellcaster, and you can get, it doesn't have to be a spellcaster, but they get more spell slots, so I'd say it's more useful there. The multiclass that stands out is the Tempest Domain Cleric, because they can maximize lightning or thunder damage. But when I compare the multiclassing potential to a Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer, I just have to give it to the Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer. I do feel like it edges out the Storm Sorcerer just a little bit in almost every regard. So coming to the Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer, I gave it a 9 out of 10 for the level 1 and level 6 features, and then a 10 out of 10 for level 11 and multiclassing potential. So as a Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer, you actually get to pick your Draconic Ancestor. Now before we look at each of the ancestors very briefly, we get an extra hit point per level, per sorcerer level, and your base armor class is 13. It's effectively like having mage armor already. Mage armor does not stack with this, you have to pick one or the other. So for me, Draconic Bloodline Sorcerers effectively come with mage armor inbuilt, so I don't have to worry about having that, and you get an extra hit point per level, so you're much more defensive, much more durable just from level 1. But that's not all that they get. You get to pick a different Draconic Ancestor. We've got 5 different types of Chromatic Dragon, and then 5 Metallic Dragons to pick from. And depending on which ancestry you pick, you get several different features. At level 1, you get given a spell known, an extra spell known. And some of these are not on the Sorcerer spell list, which can make them particularly useful or just for slightly different builds. Being Tasha's Hideous Laughter here, and Armor of Agathis. Whichever one you pick also affects the level 6 ability, which I will show you later. So one other thing I really like about the Draconic Ancestor, I've gone on about it now in several of these videos, is I get a choice. I'm not forced down a particular path. Anyway, I'm going to pick Fire. Let's just pick Burning Hands. I would say it's definitely a good idea that as you level up, whichever Draconic Ancestry you've got, whichever element it's kind of linked to, you pick a few spells with that element. Since I picked Fire, I'm going to pick Scorching Ray, for example. Right, I was an idiot once again and just blasted through the level up screens without actually stopping to show you the different abilities. So I'm just going to do it from here. So at level 6, we got these two here, Elemental Affinity. When you cast a spell that deals damage of the type associated with your Draconic Ancestry, you add your Charisma modifier to the damage. This includes cantrips. I've also given myself the Necklace of Elemental Augmentation. When one of your cantrips deals Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning or Thunder, add your spellcasting modifier to the damage dealt. So now, if and when I cast Firebolt, I will do an extra plus 10 damage, which makes it, 3d10 plus 10. That's not bad for a cantrip. Really not bad at all. The other thing we get at level 6 is when you cast a spell that deals damage of the type associated, so fire in my case, you can spend 1 sorcery point to gain resistance to that damage type. That's kind of okay, especially if you do pick fire or poison, which are kind of the 2 most common incoming damages that are kind of magical or not physical damage. So I'm just going to cast this. So we get the choice here. For 1 sorcery point, it's just about worth it, probably. I guess you could take an elixir, but then opportunity cost there is that you're not having a different elixir, so I'm just going to do it. Look at the Far Realms. Why not? 58 damage. Let's have a look at that. So 3d10 became 6d10. I rolled 48, which is on the higher end of things. And the average damage is 33. That's actually pretty good. Add a 10, and then it got doubled. The best thing's going to happen when I throw out a Fireball. So what I'm going to do now is quicken Fireball. Why not? I mean, my associated Draconic Ancestry is fire anyway. So we can see there I did my 8d6 and added 5 every single time. So that actually added up to an extra 20 damage overall. So that was kind of an ideal situation to actually cast Fireball. Then lastly, the level 11 ability, Fly. Permanently, you can fly. That's so good both in and outside of combat. Easily 10 out of 10. I'm just, yeah, don't worry guys. Chuck a Fireball, fly over that way. Just like a dragon would do. So once you get to level 11 as your Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer, you're free to fly around. And I think that is such a strong ability to have with no resource cost, no concentration, just you can fly. And then for multi-classing potential, because we can pick any of the different Draconic Ancestries, you can then kind of cater and customize your multi-class based on whatever element you want to. On top of that, you get the extra hit point per level, you get the base armor class of 13, and I just think it's really, really good. Looking at the overall scores, the Draconic Bloodline kind of does win out just about overall. I wouldn't say these are close enough that I would be like, oof, Storm is better than Draconic or whichever. But again, as I think I always say, if you've got an idea for a character, you want to follow a particular theme, please do that. These videos are just to give you an idea, give you information so you are informed about your decisions. If you love the whole wild surge thing with the wild magic, maybe you just go 10-10-10. Multiclassing potential, perhaps you don't want so much. But you know, you could really boost the scores for wild magic if you really love the wild magic surges. Now, do let me know your thoughts. Have I been too generous to some of these 9s and 10s? I haven't given out so many 9s and 10s in a single video before, I don't think. Thank you very much for watching, and to all the members of my channel. And hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.